Nestled amidst rolling hills lay the village of Hollow Creek, a peaceful place with charming cottages and friendly folk. But a shadow loomed over the village, a place of dread and mystery, the Whispering Woods. Legend said darkness consumed anyone who dared enter after sunset, their souls lost to the woods. Generations passed, and the tales grew more sinister. Whispers of unseen eyes and chilling laughter echoed through the village. The elders warned the young, their voices hushed, their faces grave. Never stray too close, they'd say, especially not as the sun begins to set.
These are just stories meant to scare children.
Lena, a young woman with a spirit as bright as the morning sun, scoffed at the tales. She dismissed them as mere stories, fantasies meant to scare children. Curiosity burned within her, a yearning to unravel the truth behind the legend. One late afternoon, as the sun cast long shadows, Lena made a decision. She would venture into the Whispering Woods. Ignoring the warnings whispered by the wind and the villagers' worried glances, she took her first steps into the darkening woods. The moment Lena crossed the threshold, the air grew heavy. A hush fell over the forest, silencing the once familiar sounds of birdsong and rustling leaves. The trees, tall and imposing, seemed to press in on her, their branches intertwining overhead to blot out the last rays of the setting sun. The deeper Lena ventured, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. The scent of damp earth and decaying leaves filled her nostrils, and strange, unidentifiable shadows danced at the edge of her vision. A shiver ran down her spine, a prickle of unease settling in her stomach. A sudden gust of wind rustled through the trees, carrying with it the faintest of whispers. The forest seemed alive, each leaf and branch moving in a dance orchestrated by the unseen. The air was thick with an eerie presence, as if the very wind carried secrets from ages past.
What is that? Is someone there?
Lena paused, her heart pounding in her chest. She could feel the weight of the forest pressing in on her, the shadows seeming to move and shift with a life of their own. Her breath came in short, sharp gasps as she tried to steady herself. The whispers seemed to come from all around her, soft and indistinct, yet filled with an undeniable malice. They were like ghostly fingers brushing against her skin, sending shivers down her spine. She strained to catch the words, but they slipped away like smoke.
Come closer. Don't be afraid.
Join us. We have been waiting for you.
Straining to make sense of the sounds, Lena pressed on. Her steps were hesitant, each one feeling like it might be her last. The forest seemed to close in around her, the trees leaning in as if to listen to her every move. The whispers grew louder with each step, swirling around her like a vortex of disembodied voices. They seemed to be drawing her in, pulling her deeper into the heart of the forest. The air grew colder and the shadows darker. They spoke of forgotten things, of ancient secrets and unspeakable horrors. Tales of lost souls and forbidden knowledge, of things that should never be spoken of. The weight of their words pressed down on her, making it hard to breathe. Fear gnawed at her courage, urging her to turn back. But something deeper, a curiosity or perhaps a sense of destiny, pushed her forward. She knew she had to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. The forest held its breath, waiting for her next move. Through the dense undergrowth, Lena spotted a clearing. In the center stood an ancient well, its stone rim crumbling with age. The whispers seemed to emanate from its depths, beckoning her closer.
What is this place?
An inexplicable force drew Lena towards the well. She reached the edge, peering into its dark abyss. The whispers intensified, swirling around her like a living thing. They whispered her name, their voices filled with a strange longing, a desperate plea for release.
Who are you?
Suddenly, a hand shot up from the well's depths, its pale fingers grasping at the air. Lena stumbled back in horror as another hand emerged, followed by another and then another. They were grotesque skeletal things, their skin stretched taut over bones.
No, this can't be happening.
Faces, contorted in silent screams, began to rise from the darkness. Their eyes, hollow and filled with an unspeakable hunger, stared up at Lena. The whispers reached a fever pitch, a chorus of tormented souls begging for escape.
What do you want from me?
Terror lending speed to her feet, Lena turned and ran. She didn't dare look back. The image of those grasping hands, those pleading faces, seared into her mind.
The whispers! They're getting closer!
The whispers pursued her, urging her onward, their tone shifting from pleading to menacing. Thorns tore at her clothes, branches whipped at her face, but she didn't slow down. The forest seemed to twist and turn around her, the once familiar path now a labyrinth of shadows and deceit. Every rustle of leaves, every snapping twig, sounded like the footsteps of something evil pursuing her. The trees, once merely imposing, now seemed to reach out with gnarled branches, attempting to bar her escape. The path ahead constantly shifted, leading her in circles, always deeper into the heart of the woods. Panic surged through her, threatening to consume her.
I can't find the way out.
Lena stumbled and fell, scraping her hands on the rough ground. Looking back, she could see nothing but an impenetrable wall of darkness. The whispers were all around her now, mocking her fear, reveling in her desperation. They were close, too close. Just when Lena felt her hope fading, she saw a faint light flickering in the distance. It was a small, almost imperceptible glimmer, but in the vast darkness of the forest, it was enough to reignite her will to survive. The light seemed to dance, teasing her with the promise of safety and warmth. With renewed determination, she surged forward, her lungs burning, her legs screaming for rest. Each step was a battle against the fatigue that threatened to overwhelm her. The forest seemed to close in around her, the trees whispering secrets of despair, but she pushed on, driven by the hope that the light represented.
Almost there. Just a little further, she whispered to herself, her voice barely audible over the sound of her own laboured breathing. The distance seemed to stretch endlessly, but she refused to give in. She had come too far to turn back now.
As she drew closer, the light grew stronger, revealing the familiar path leading out of the woods. The sight of the path filled her with a sense of relief so profound that it brought tears to her eyes. She could see the end of her ordeal, the promise of safety just within reach. Bursting out of the tree line, Lena collapsed onto the soft grass, gasping for breath. The cool night air filled her lungs, a stark contrast to the oppressive atmosphere of the forest. She could feel the tension slowly leaving her body, replaced by a profound exhaustion. She lay there for a long moment, her body trembling, her mind replaying the horrors she had witnessed. The faces, the sounds, the fear, it all came rushing back, but she forced herself to focus on the present, on the fact that she was safe, at least for now. Looking back at the dark silhouette of the woods, she could almost believe it had all been a nightmare. The forest loomed ominously, a dark reminder of the terror she had escaped. But as she lay there, staring at the stars above, she knew that she had survived. She had faced the darkness and emerged on the other side. Safe at last, or so she hoped. But as Lena made her way back to the village, the faintest of whispers followed her, carried on the night breeze. The air was thick with an eerie stillness, broken only by the soft rustling of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. Each step she took seemed to echo louder than the last, as if the very ground beneath her feet was warning her to turn back. They were distant now, almost imperceptible, yet she could still feel their icy touch on her soul. The whispers seemed to seep into her mind, filling her with a sense of dread that she couldn't shake off. It was as if the forest itself was alive, watching her every move, waiting for the right moment to strike.
They're still there. They won't let me go. Lena's voice trembled as she spoke, her eyes darting around the dark forest as if expecting the shadows to come alive at any moment. She could feel the weight of their presence, pressing down on her, suffocating her with their unending whispers.
Lena knew deep in her heart that the whispering woods would never truly release her. The forest had claimed a part of her soul, binding her to its dark secrets and ancient mysteries. No matter how far she ran, no matter how hard she tried to forget, the whispers would always find her. The whispers had woven themselves into her very being, a constant reminder of the terror that lurked beneath the surface of the world. They were a part of her now, a dark shadow that would follow her wherever she went. She could feel their cold breath on her neck, hear their sinister laughter in the wind, and see their ghostly figures in the corner of her eye. And so she returned to Hollow Creek a changed woman, forever marked by her encounter with the darkness that dwelled within the Whispering Woods. The villagers could see the change in her, the haunted look in her eyes, the way she jumped at the slightest sound. They whispered among themselves, wondering what horrors she had faced in the depths of the forest. But Lena knew that no one would ever truly understand the terror she had experienced, the unending whispers that would haunt her for the rest of her days.